Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I make videos for anyone who's looking to try and improve their chess in a club rating level, beginner level, any level really. I'm just documenting my chess journey, sharing what I'm learning, sharing how I'm trying to get better and all of that. So if that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing, as would be greatly appreciated. I just want to say before I get into the video, I do have a Discord server, we'll leave a link to in the description, where you can speak to like-minded individuals about chess. You can post your chess games, speak about what books you're reading and all that. So if that sounds interesting, I'll let you check it out. Anyway, in today's video, we'll be looking at the Panov-Botvinnik attack. We'll be looking at the mainline theory. So let's get into it. White starts e4, c6, d4, d5, takes, and c4. Knight f6 and knight c3. It's pretty standard. And now yesterday we went over e6. I definitely recommend learning it. But we'll be looking at knight c6 today. I believe it's definitely a popular move. G6 is also a popular move. I believe E6 is the most popular, but knight C6 and G6 are very popular as well. Now after knight C6, white has two ways to continue. Normally knight f3 is the mainline standard, but bishop G5 can also be played. I'll show you some ways for black to deal with this. E6 is a way you could do with it, and then after E6, knight F3, bishop E7, C5 is played, castles, bishop B5, knight E4, and after take you take with the knight, not allowing white to take here. This is about equal, so this is a way you could play if you wanted to play with E6. Another way, you could play after bishop G5 is you could play bishop E6. After bishop E6, A3, queen D7, takes, C5, and bishop G4, F3, and now bishop F5. This is a way you could play. It's actually very popular to play like this, especially at the top level. But however, you are putting your bishop on a funny square, so you probably will kind of need to know what you're doing. Also, a way you could go is queen A5. After queen A5, A3, and knight E4, bishop D2, about equalish. And last but not least, you could also take. If you wanted to play, this is quite a practical way if you want to play against the isolated pawn. If you just want to play chess and just play against the isolated pawn, I recommend this. And if you can't be bothered to learn any theory, I'll just recommend this actually. You may need to know a tiny bit. After d5, knight e5, queen d4 is played, h6. Saying if takes, we take here, I believe. So we're just attacking this, and if takes, we obviously take and defends this. But anyway, white normally continues here. Black normally continues here. Bishop f4. After knight g6, bishop c4, we take, and a6 going g7, and we're gonna try castle kingside. That's a way that black could play if you want to take. However, the most popular move is not bishop g4. It is knight f3. After knight f3, bishop g4 is played, pinning this knight. It's a defender of this isolated, well, what may be isolated pawn, and you just want to pin the defender to a pawn that you may win. cd5 is played, knight d5, and now queen b3. I just want to say queen b3 is the main. This is the most theoretical way, but white can here after knight d5 go bishop e2. After e6, castles, bishop e7, h3, bishop h5, queen b3 now, and after I believe the most g6. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Notice how there's no tactics with knight d5 after knight. Sometimes when the knight is on f6, you can take twice and win a pawn, but there's nothing here. So that's a way white can play if white wants to avoid theory. I mean, it's quite funny. I mean, this is a very theoretical opening, and there's lots of ways for you to avoid the theory. Anyway, knight d4, but white can go queen b3, and probably will. It's the most popular way to deal with it. And now bishop f3, you always take. After takes, you play e6. This is the most popular move. However, you can go knight b6 after knight b6, d5, knight e5, knight d4, bishop b4, knight d7, After knight d7, queen a4 is played, attacking this knight. Takes, and g6, and you try castle, kingside. And white has a compromised pawn structure, but has great activity for his pieces. So you could do that if you wanted to kind of avoid the most mainline endgame, because to be honest, all of this leads, if you play all of this perfectly with the theory, it all leads to an endgame. So if you don't want to play an endgame, you could play knight b6, or you could there's earlier deviations you could go into earlier in the position. Anyway, if you want to play the most mainline, you go e6. After queen b7, we forgive me. You take now e6. After queen b7, you play knight d4, bishop b5, knight b5, but now white goes at queen c6. After this, we got no really option but to take, so we take, and now queen c6. We can't go queen d7 to block because our rook falls, so we go king e7. After king e7, queen b5 is the most played. Now we play queen d7 to try and exchange queens. But white goes knight d5. After queen d5, white exchanges. White can go queen e2 here. But we put our king on f6, so we can try to get our king to safety. And white's king's actually normally said to be weaker here. So after this, if white wants to avoid, you can go queen e2. But normally we just take, and after castles, white's trying to get his rooks into the game. We go king f6, and we can bring our king up, and we've got a very active king. However, I mean, white has some pawn structure issues. So does white. These weaknesses are said to be, they can be quite prevalent in the position, and they can be more important than black's kingside problems, as these will probably be defended easier. However, this is quite isolated. But I definitely recommend doing more research on this endgame. Also, black here has the active king. That's definitely a benefit. If you want to, if you know you're gonna get this in a game, or you want to learn this, I definitely recommend looking at some masters games and trying to learn the endgame a bit more. If you like endgames, this is definitely for you. But anyway, I thought that's pretty much it. I thought I'd share the theory. Tell me what you thought of the video. If you got any value out of it, I'd appreciate a likes up. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention, and have a good rest of your day.